I was a TV weatherman for more than 40 years. I talked about floods and storms and tornadoes and blizzards and ice storms and all kinds of things. And when I wasn't talking about that, I was talking about what you could see in the sky. Things like eclipses, meteor showers, various planets, and so on. But I'm not the weatherman anymore. But I still have a lot to talk about. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the Hey Kevin Show. My name is Kevin Orpurt, and you probably know that I was the weatherman at Channel 10 for, well, more than 40 years. And, then I'm not the weatherman. I've been able to let my hair grow a little bit, grow my beard. You know, I haven't been able to do this for 40 years, so I'm going back to the way I was when I graduated high school, all the way back in 1973. So, anyhow, I've been amazed at how many of you, I've just been so flattered at how many of you, when I see you at the grocery store or just out or going along and so on, and you stop me and say, "Oh, Kev, we sure do miss you." I'm surprised. You know, I really am. I'm touched. I'm touched because I didn't expect that. I've been so grateful to have the career I've had at Channel 10, and so grateful to all of you who have watched over the course of the years. And a lot of you have said, "Oh, Kev, we miss when you talk about the eclipses or the meteor showers or the planets or the storms and things like that." And I'm going to do that. That's why we're here. I'm going to do that. I'm going to tell you about the old stories that my grandma used to tell me, weather lore. I probably am not going to do a whole lot of immediate forecasting. There are other people around here who can do forecasting and give you a day-to-day forecast. I might do some seasonal things, and I'm certainly going to be answering your questions. That's where the Hey Kevin comes in. See, you can say, "Hey Kevin, why is it so humid out?" and so on. And so we can talk about that. But the whole idea about this particular show, the Hey Kevin Show, is to reconnect with you and to get you involved, because you're going to have a chance to ask me questions. You're going to have a chance to give some input and so on. It's going to be an interactive sort of program, the Hey Kevin Show. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to set out. I'm going to tell you about, a weather quiz every once in a while. We'll do some Hey Kevins. I'll talk to you about weather words. I love words. And so I'll talk to you about weather words that are kind of crazy and a little corny and stuff, but they're really words that describe certain types of weather events or weather things. And so we'll talk about that. And so I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be kind of freewheeling. I have no idea what is going to happen from one moment to the next, which is kind of the way it was when I was on Channel 10. Except I don't have Patrice to bug me or Rondrell to keep me in line or some of these other, management. And so I'm on my own with this one. But I'm not necessarily on my own. I'm on my own with you. So let's get going on a great new adventure, the Hey Kevin Show. I'm looking forward to spending a lot of time with you. One of the fun things that we used to do when I was on TV is weather quiz. So every day during the weather, I'd ask a question, something to do with weather, some silly little question or something you might learn something about or whatever. And so I thought it would be fun to do a weather quiz for the Hey Kevin Show. So you ready? Let's do this one. How about this? The sound of thunder is caused by rapidly expanding air, clouds colliding, or warm and cold air colliding. Sound of thunder is caused by what? Did you get it? Did you get it? The answer is rapidly expanding air. Lightning goes through the atmosphere, heats up the air goes whoosh, whooshes out, makes a big sound. Moving air makes a sound, and that is the sound of thunder. One of the things that people ask me is like, Kev, how did you get started in all of this? How did you really get this career that you have? And I must tell you that I'm a sincere believer, I'm a true believer that I've done through my career what I was born to do. I'm one of those fortunate people who just has always had that drive, knowing what I wanted to do. Everything that's happened to me in my career has come so naturally. I really haven't had to work at it. And I've enjoyed it. I've had a wonderful time doing it. And so you might say, well, how did you get started with that? And the reason I say I think I was born to do it is because when I was a kid, growing up in Peru, Indiana, I would be in my room late at night, grade school, third, fourth grade or something, and I'd be listening to the radio out in the country in northern Miami County, listening to radio stations way off in New York and Chicago and so on. And I'd listen and I'd think, that's what I want to do. I want to be a broadcaster. I want to be in broadcasting. And I would listen and listen until my mom would pound on the door and say, are you listening to that radio? And so I'd say, no, but I was. Uh, and I'd go off to sleep dreaming about what it would be like to be big time broadcaster in a major city. And so broadcasting was my passion from the very beginning. And couple that with the fact that I love weather. And I love weather because of my grandma Pottinger up in Deedsville, Indiana. She would have all these stories, these sayings, these kinds of things about what the weather was going to be. She always knew what the weather was. And I wondered, well, how does grandma know that? I don't think she listened to the radio. She didn't have a television and she didn't read, but she seemed to know what the weather was going to be. And she was like so many people her age, born in the late 1800s. They didn't have Channel 10 to watch or any other sort of media, really. They had to know what the weather was going to be by observing what was happening outside and what was going on in the sky, how it felt, how the air smelled, and so on. And that's how I learned to forecast weather from my grandmother by forecasting on the signs. So I have these two passions, broadcasting and weather, two things that I believe I was just born to do, things that I absolutely love. So I was in fifth grade, and my friend Scott Harleman, his mom worked at the radio station up in Peru, Indiana, my hometown, WARU. I was in fifth grade, and Scott's mom worked at the radio station. And Scott said, yeah, we can probably go out and visit. I said, really? And so we did. One Friday afternoon, we went out to WARU and walked up the steps in this two-story building. And there's Scott's mom, and she greeted us. And she said, would you like to meet O.J. Jackson? Well, he was the disc jockey. And it was like, oh, wow, because I'd been listening to him, I thought, oh, he's the coolest guy ever. So O.J. Jackson walked out of the control room. There he was. I met O.J. Jackson, my radio hero. He could have been the Pope, and I wouldn't have been any less impressed or more impressed. It was just crazy. And so that night, that Friday night, after meeting OJ and getting a little tour of the radio station, I went home into my basement, got a cardboard box, and started to put together with my little record player on top of it and a little fake microphone and some little meters and things. I put together my own little private pirate radio station. And I started broadcasting to the neighbors out in the country. Had a little phono oscillator that I bought from, I think, Lafayette Electronics. It had a range of about, a quarter of a mile or something. So I broadcast to the neighbors. And that's how I got my start, really in broadcasting, doing that. Went on to Vincennes University, pursued broadcasting. One of my instructors at Vincennes was a guy named Phil Brassey. He had worked at Channel 10. After Vincennes, I went back to Peru, worked for 3 years at the radio station, came here to Terre Haute after that in 1978, went to work for a little ad agency and WAAC, which is a radio station that's no longer uh, in, in business. I was K.O. Kelly. That was my name, K.O. Kelly. So I was on WAAC, whack, K.O. Kelly in the afternoon. And from then, there I went to WTHI AM. It was Country Fresh, WTHI. We played country music on the AM. I did the all night show. I was Kevin Patrick Malloy then. And I wound up at WBOW doing mornings. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You might like this. I was doing mornings at WBOW, and I don't know if you remember Doc Long, but Doc Long was working at WPFR. WPFR was just a hot FM radio station at that time, and they had all the audience, and Doc was doing the mornings, and he called me at BOW and said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to leave. We're going to have a job opening. Why don't you come down here and work at PFR?" And I thought, that sounds like a good idea. So I turned in my notice at BOW. Well, uh, I'm I'd forgotten that I'd signed like a little piece of paper, some kind of a contract or something at BOW. Well, uh, so I had signed that. I forgot about it. I turned in my notice. I said, I quit. I'm going to PFR. That's when PFR was owned by the Oak Ridge Boys. Well, they had just bought it, and they didn't want to get involved in any sort of tangle with, with lawyers and things. And so what they did is they say, "Well, we're not going to hire you because you've got this little agreement with BOW." Oh, wow. Now what am I going to do? So that was back when I used to drink, and I was at a place called Simrals, and I was playing pool, and I met this guy named Rod Garvin, and Rod Garvin was playing pool there too. And so I'm going, "Oh, Rod, I don't know what I'm going to do," and I'm trying to shoot pool. And he said, at Channel 10, we're looking for somebody to work in the promotion department. You want to do that? And I said, "Oh, hey, that sounds like fun." That was back in 1982. I went to work at Channel 10 in December of 82. By December of 84, I was doing the noon show, filling in. By November of 1985, I was doing the weather because the fellow who was doing the weather got in trouble. He wasn't able to do it. And so they said, "Kev, can you do it?" I said, "Yeah, I guess." And the rest is history. I've been doing weather at Channel 10 since December of 1985 at night, but I've been doing weather beginning on the noon show since July of 1984. It's been a great ride. So you've been wondering how I got here. This is how I got here. At least that's all I can remember for right now. Well, we're right in the middle of summer. And as we get really, really close to August, we have to think about what's going on with summertime weather and summertime things that happen here in the Wabash Valley and across the Midwest. One of the things is, well, on August the 1st, it's a day called Lammas, Lammas. Now, many, many years ago, that was a day, August the 1st, that was celebrated as a cross quarter day. It's the day that's almost exactly between the first day of summer and the first day of fall. And so you have a day right in the middle. That's a cross quarter day. That is August the 1st. And back in the old days, there were festivals and all kinds of things where people would bake bread. They would take it to the local parish. It would be blessed and so on. And so a blessing of the bread would be going on August the 1st to celebrate the beginning of the first harvests of the season. Things like green beans and corn. If you had some sweet corn lately, boy, it's great. And those kinds of things. Okay. So we get into August and we talk about things that are really unique to the summer season. One of them is the Perced meteor shower. Now, the Perseid meteor shower happens every year about this time, from the latter part, the very last part of July into the middle and last part of August. It's always a great show, except this year, there's a little bit of a problem, and that is the moon. The moon, beginning tonight and over the next few nights, will start to be more and more full. It'll start off as just a little crescent moon, but by the time we get to August the 9th, the moon will be full. And the full moon, the light of the full moon, is going to wash out some of the more faint shooting stars, the Perseids. And so, if you want to go see these, here's what you want to do: you get out to a dark spot, okay? Get out to a dark spot. Take a blanket or a lounge chair so you can get comfortable. Don't forget the bug spray. Don't forget the bug spray. Take the bug spray. Also, when you get out into the way out in the country or someplace away from artificial lights, you look up and you let your eyes adjust to the dark. Put away your cell phone. First of all, cell phones will rarely, if ever, record a shooting star. And not only that, if you're out there, the light of the phone, you're looking at with your light, with your eyes, and then you look up and it's dark and it just won't work. It just won't work. So put the phone away, go out, get to a dark spot, and look to the northeast. Best time to look is after 10 o'clock at night and then the rest of the overnight. Look to the northeast toward the constellation Perseus. Perseus is the constellation that it looks like the meteors, the shooting stars, are coming out of Perseus, and that's why it's called the Perseid meteor shower. One other thing about summertime, and then I'll stop harping about that. You can step out, humid. It is so humid. And one of the reasons is, especially this time of year, we have something called corn sweat. You ever hear of that? Well, we as humans, we sweat, we perspire, and the reason we do is our bodies, we get a little drops of water on our skin, it evaporates, and it takes the heat away. Corn does the same thing. Late on a hot, humid summertime night, the corn draws water up through its stem and its leaves and its stalk, and little tiny drops of water form on the leaves of the corn, and they evaporate. Those little drops of water evaporate, and that helps the corn to cool itself off. The only thing is, that also is releasing additional water vapor into the air. And so, what's happening is the humidity around a cornfield has the potential to be a whole lot higher than it would be, for example, in a city or something like that. The humidity provided by cornfields is excessive, and it is one of these things that is truly remarkable. Some studies have been done that not only is the corn releasing water into the air, it's also releasing oxygen. More oxygen for a few short weeks in the summertime. More oxygen is released by the Corn Belt of the United States than the entire Amazon rainforest. And it's because of these things that I like to share with you that I absolutely love about weather and the planet upon which we live. And these are the kinds of things that I want to tell you about during the Hey Kevin show. So I hope you picked up a little something with that, because I just think it's absolutely fascinating.
Hey, Kevin, I'm Paul, and I was wondering, what is that bright light that comes up in the east every morning?
But that's a great question. In fact, that's one of the questions that people ask me a lot, because what you see in the east early in the morning, that big bright light out there, which sometimes looks like it flickers a little bit and so on, it's not a flying saucer. It's not a UFO. It's planet Venus, the morning star. And so Venus rises up before sunrise, dominates the sky, and then eventually the sun rises and outshines Venus. And so Venus, which is functioning as the morning star, you look over there and you see it, and because it's shining through the atmosphere and little things going on, it kind of looks like it's moving a bit, looks like a flying saucer, looks like we're being invaded, but we're not. What you're seeing in the east when you look early in the morning, around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, that is planet Venus. I have mentioned that I love words, and I like words that have to do with weather, especially if they're kind of silly words or words that you don't normally hear. Well, here's the weather word for today. It's corn scatius. Yes, corn scatius. Now, it can be used like this: corn scatius air. It's been used originally by the writers of the Old Farmer's Almanac. Corn scatius air is air that is humid, it's hot, it smells like corn, it's summertime air where the humidity is pressing down on you. You're near a cornfield and you step out into the cornfield and it feels like you could just wear that air. That is corn scatius air. Well, this has been fun. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you stayed the whole time. As I mentioned earlier, this whole Hey Kevin show is really something that I'm just working at and trying to put together and do some things, the kinds of things that you have said to me that you like, things you want to hear from me, the stories, the poems, the little silly things, and all that. That's what we're going to be doing here for Hey Kevin. Now, if you'd like to get in touch, all you have to do is look there at the bottom of your screen. You're going to find an email, and you can email a question. And the bigwigs here, which I'm working with, will give me the question, and I'll answer it on our next episode of the Hey Kevin Show. Now, in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe. The ladies at the laundromat were asking me, is it going to be on YouTube? You bet. It's going to be everywhere. And so like and subscribe. And thank you so much for tuning in to the Hey Kevin Show.